When I started in the gym, I was clueless. This killed a lot of my progress. Since then though, I've done hundreds of workouts, spent thousands of hours in the gym, and even became a certified personal trainer. If I could talk to my younger self, here's exactly what I would tell him to speed up his progress. I just started to bulk after like 8 months of cutting, so here's a physique update for you guys. My goal is to bulk again until my abs are gone. And during this bulk, I'm going to focus on building up my arms because they're kind of lagging behind. The chest is pretty decent. And get my shoulders a little more round, as well as build up my abs. I've had to cut quite a bit to get my abs to show. And even when I'm relaxed, you can't even see them when they're not in good lighting. So I definitely need to build up some boulders there so that they show a lot better when I'm at my current body fat percentage. Right now I'm weighing 175.4. My goal weight by the end of this quarter is to hit 185, so I got about 10 pounds to go. I'm not trying to go very fast with this bulk. I'm more so just wanting to put on half a pound per week and make sure that the majority of the weight that I do put on is muscle and not fat. That way, when I do have to go into a cut, I don't have to cut for 8 months again. Just a quick 1 month cut, and then I'm back down to my current physique and then can spend the rest of the year bulking again. For some reason, everyone thinks that you need to do a big dirty bulk and then put on a whole bunch of weight to maximize muscle growth. And honestly, in the short term, that might work. But when you factor in cutting all that time, a lean bulk is definitely the way to go, as you're spending more time in a caloric surplus where you're actually building muscle instead of just trying to maintain what you have when you're in a caloric deficit. Also, if you guys are looking for some hair cream, this Forte stuff is definitely the way to go. They sent me this for free and gave you guys a code. So use code APEX at checkout and you'll get 15% off of their hair products. The first tip is that less is actually more. When I started in the gym, I used to think that going more meant that I'd see a lot more muscle growth. So for the first 6 months to a year, I started on a 6-day per week program. This always ended up doing more harm than good though, as I always ended up getting these nagging injuries that wouldn't go away. They weren't terrible, but they also made it uncomfortable to work out and definitely weren't normal, if you know what I mean. And I also always felt like fatigued and kind of like shit, even when I was going throughout my day. This is why I would tell my younger self that he should only go 3 days per week. This is going to be optimal for recovery. Your muscles aren't actually growing when you're in the gym. They're growing when you're recovering. And since I wasn't recovering properly, I wasn't seeing optimal muscle growth. So that's why it's so important that you're following a program where you're getting enough recovery and not overworking yourself in the gym. Another reason why I was injured so much in the beginning was that I had terrible form and never focused on mobility. I would just show up and start hitting the weights, never doing any warm up. And even on my rest days, I'd never do any mobility. My form was terrible because I was trying to implement progressive overload, but before increasing the weight, I wasn't focusing on form, and that was a big mistake. So before implementing progressive overload and increasing the weight, make sure that your form's dialed in on the weight that you're currently doing before upping the weight. So if I was able to talk to myself when I was beginning, I would tell him to, one, do mobility before a workout and then a little bit after, even a little bit on rest days if I had time. And also watch videos on how to do an exercise correctly before doing that particular exercise. And then before I increased any weight at all, I would always make sure that my form was dialed in and perfect before upping the weight at all.
Yeah, I'm in your town, I'm coming your way, just wait up. Me and my team ain't taking no L's, I told them you don't wanna play us. We going downtown with a flight in the morning, said fuck it, I'm just gonna stay up. Remember last year, I told them the price, and now they all wanna pay up. They hit me now, they coming too late, all I reply is to save up. Me and my guys, we did it ourselves, so no one can say that they made us. They gave me the shit, they trying to guard me, I told them you gotta go straight up. We eating for days, I've been in the gym, I swear that I'm getting my weight up, yeah. Oh, I seen it all, you avert. Hop up in a whip, watch it skirt. risk it all for you first. Meet me in the night, shit get worse. I told them all I'm getting it.
That was a pretty quick workout today. I was supposed to have a Zoom call this morning with some YouTube coaching, but they bailed on me. So I decided to go then quick, and I had to be home in time for another Zoom call with a business coach. So I just had to fit it in where I could. And I wasn't able to do my calf raises or any of my posture work, but we still got some squats in and some other leg work in. So I can't complain about that. Before I get into the next point, I want to let you guys know about my free fitness accountability group on Discord. I've been putting a lot of tips and tricks in there. Would love to have you in there. The link for that will be down in the description of this video. The next tip is to follow a structured routine. When I first started going to the gym, I never really followed a structured routine. I was just doing random exercises that I seen online and did random stuff every single week. This killed my muscle growth. If I were to go back and talk to myself when I started, I'd definitely make myself start on a workout program. There's a lot of apps out there where you can get a workout program. Some are paid, some are free. Definitely recommend getting one of those. The main reason for this is so that you can ensure that you're hitting progressive overload. If you're just doing random things every single week, you're not going to be able to ensure that you're increasing the weight or increasing the amount of reps you're doing, which will mean that you're not effectively hitting progressive overload. Whereas if you have an app where you track everything you do and do the same set of exercises every single week for a set amount of time, this will allow you to adjust the weight or the reps, or even the sets to ensure that you're hitting that progressive overload. Some of these apps even do them themselves. Like, you don't even have to think about it. Others, you might have to look at your history of what you did last week and do it yourself. But either way, as long as you make sure that you increase the stimulus that you put on your muscles every week you do a particular exercise, you're going to see optimal muscle growth. So if this week I did 200 pounds on the bench press for 10 reps for 3 sets, next week I could do 205 pounds for the same amount of reps and sets, or increase the amount of reps to 12 reps, or even keep the other 2 variables the same and add another set. Each one of these things are going to add more stimulus on your muscles, which are going to drive them to grow. So you definitely want to make sure you're doing this. Just make sure, like I said in the earlier point, that when you incorporate progressive overload, you're not sacrificing form in order to increase the weight. You're much better off increasing the amount of reps you're doing and making sure that your form is perfected before increasing the weight.
What else I have to do, girl? I only want you. I only want you, yeah. I only want you. I only want you. Pull me closer.
I was gonna go on a hike with my sisters, but as soon as we got on the road, the forecast turned and it looks like it's gonna start storming here. So we decided we better not go out and risk getting soaking wet. Before the storm comes though, I'll let you guys know about the next point, which is I tell my younger self to dial in his diet. When I first started, I barely had any protein. The only diet change that I made for the first 6 months was a protein shake, and I definitely was not eating an optimal amount for muscle growth, and this killed my gains. If I had to guess, I was probably eating around 0.6 to 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. I would have told myself to get up to at least 0.8 grams per pound, ideally 1 gram per pound of body weight. That's going to cause the optimal amount of muscle growth. I would have stressed the urgency of doing this too, because I focused on training when I first started. And honestly, as I've gotten more experienced in the gym, I've come to the conclusion that diet is just as important, if not more important, than training itself. The other thing with my diet was when I went on a bulk, I thought that I needed to eat this huge surplus of food. And this meant that I'd eat until I felt sick. And I thought I was doing what was optimal to put on as much muscle as possible. However, being in such a huge surplus meant that I was putting on a lot of weight. And yeah, a lot of that was muscle, but there's also a ton of that which was fat. So if I were to do it all over again, I would only put myself for the first probably 6 months to a year in a 500 calorie surplus. And then after that, since my newbie gains would be over, I would back it down to about a 250 calorie surplus. This is going to mean that the majority of the weight that I do put on is muscle. And then when I need to do a cut, I only have to do it for
a short amount of time. Before, what I was doing was I'd put on a ton of fat, probably about 20 pounds, and then have to cut that off. So for instance, this last one that I just got out of, I spent 8 months cutting, and that sucks. Not only are you hungry all the time, but during that time, I wasn't able to put on any muscle and may have even lost some. So it's just not worth it. From now on, what I'm going to do is eat 250 calories in a surplus and then bulk a little slower. Yeah, I might not gain muscle as fast in the short term, but over the long term, as I spend more time bulking, I will accumulate more muscle and then have to cut less. Man, the storm got kind of wild. Thankfully, it just got kind of windy and never caused any damage. And now it's all cleared up. Looks like it's going to be a sunny evening. For dinner tonight, we got ourselves some potatoes, roast beef, and gravy, and then a salad on the side. The next thing that I would tell myself is to prioritize my sleep. Sleep is one of the most important things that you can do for muscle growth. While you're in the gym training, your muscles aren't growing and repairing. They're actually breaking down. Sleep is actually when they grow and repair themselves. And if you're not sleeping optimally, you're not getting optimal muscle growth. This is something that I still struggle with to this day. However, I have improved it drastically over the past few months by doing a few different things. The first was getting a pair of blue light glasses. One of the biggest problems these days is our electronic devices at night. Our brain isn't used to seeing light after the sun goes down, and when you're on your device, it screws that up. Blue light glasses help eliminate a lot of this problem. It doesn't get rid of it completely, but it does help it quite a bit by blocking out those harmful rays of blue light that inhibit the production of melatonin. Do your research here before you buy them though, as not all the blue light glasses are the same. And honestly, a lot of the stuff that you buy in the store can be junk, so you want to make sure that you do your research and buy a good pair. I got a rose colored lens on mine that helps, and it also blocks a certain range of light. I believe it's 450 to 455 nm. Aside from this, a lot of people take magnesium. I used to take magnesium and I found it worked great. However, I recently started taking this supplement from Transparent Labs. It's called Sleep and Recover. I get the melatonin free version. They got two different versions, but the melatonin free version works very well for me. It has magnesium in it as well as a few other things that are great for sleep, and I find that this has enhanced my sleep a ton. The last thing that I try to do every single day to improve my sleep is to go out and get daylight exposure in the mornings. This is going to help set your circadian rhythm, and it's going to improve your sleep quality the next evening. If you're just starting in the gym but having a hard time balancing it with your social life and your busy work schedule, then I definitely recommend checking out this video right here. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click subscribe.